In this video, I'm going to take a moment just to talk about the importance of your UV space. I know UVs can be a real pain for some students, and don't worry, they're not exactly the most loved pipeline out there. But it's important that you understand why you need to do the things you do when bringing your work into Mudbox. Now, there are different approaches. There is a theory course, or I should say a workflow, where you do want to work outside of the 0 to 1 space. There's also something called UDIMs. We're not going to talk about that for this particular class and this video. But when you think about anything outside of the 0 to 1 space, what you're really thinking about is anything that you might want to tile. So if you brought in a tileable texture, if you want to scale it, that texture, of course, will be scaling indefinitely outside of this area. And any type of shells that you have outside of this area will have those repeating textures as well. So when you're creating textures that are unique on a painted surface, such as in Mudbox, it's so important that you bring everything inside of the 0 to 1 space. So you may get errors that say overlapping texture, or you may get errors that say that your textures or your shells are out of bounds. Just go back into your 3D application and fix it. So when you're working in either Max or Maya, you can do some simple tests just to make sure that your UVs are where they need to be. Now I do have both applications open. You can kind of see both of these layouts. So when you're looking at your 0 to 1 space, again, you're looking at the area within this box. If you're not sure about your grid, take a look at your grid in your space, in your UV editor, 0 to 1. So when your instructor says keep everything within your 0 to 1 space, that's what they're referring to. Optimizing your UV layout is another very important process. What that means is that you want to make sure that you're optimizing any unused space in here, which is why when you have multiple parts to an asset, you want to include all of those in the same projection. So if this rock, for instance, had mushrooms on it, maybe some type of foliage, some grass, I might want to have that all attached within my projection and have it in the same layout that I then take into Mudbox. You also want to make sure that your assets are optimized and scaled correctly. So naturally, if I have this set up here in Maya and I have other objects that are going to be associated with it, I want to make sure that I'm scaling all these projections correctly so that one isn't bigger than the other. Keep it relative to what it actually looks like in your scene. Now you have settings in both of your applications that can do that, but the most important thing to remember is that you want to make sure that you're keeping your UVs in your 0 to 1 space and you're optimizing those layouts so you're using as much of this negative space as you can. Does that mean you're going to use all of it? Of course not, but try to use as much as you can.